10 words of English. In a previous incarnation, Kelvin spent 19 years as a software developer. And finally, something you may not know about Kelvin is that he can listen to a song and play it almost immediately on the piano. He says that he has an ability to work out tonal differences in melody and chords and translate them into playable form on the piano. Apparently, he thought everybody could do this for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the remarkable and musically talented Kelvin Ong.
So in BNI they say it's all about visibility, yeah? Do not disturb. See that? Okay, my name's Kelvin. Sky Monkey is my business. We are licensed drone operators. Now, just a show of hands who do not know what a drone is. Fantastic, no one's been living under a rock. So a drone is a flying machine. The difference is we've used commercial grade systems. They are bigger, they're faster, they're more reliable, they have better cameras and payloads on them. Here's another example of a larger unit. This is our office. For those who have been to our office, you should know. That's Geraldo, my partner there. And that's my BDM, and that's a huge unit that's carrying a thermal camera. That's how it looks like close up. Drones come in all shapes and sizes. This is what they call a Falcon 8 Plus. It's a system that's quite unique. It's a $100,000 drone. Now it's not ours, but it's ours because it actually belongs to the Western Sydney University, for which that only myself and Geraldo are allowed to fly. Nice. So no one else is qualified to do that. Now, what's unique about this is it's got a full frame camera that is able to look up, so you can inspect under bridges and whatnot. Okay, so we've been working with the likes of University of Western Sydney, or actually it's now called Western Sydney University. They've spent $1 million doing it, didn't they? That's City of Parramatta. It's always intriguing what we do. That's half of the engineers at Optus, so we're now looking at inspecting their $100 million satellite dishes so that humans don't have to do it, because it's a real hazard, it's disruption to the service, and we proved to them that we can inspect it without ever turning down the services. That's a random thing, that's a sort of payload that we carry every time we do a job. Okay, so apart from the obvious, turns out that to be successful in our business, you actually need to know how to use a camera. So the photography aspect of our business is a given. I have a background in photography myself, not to a commercial level, but at a serious enthusiast level, and that really helped. So has my partner. And my background behind software development has also helped with being able to translate what we do, not just flying. And I hope everyone can agree, this is one chapter that actually flies lots of drones. Can I have a quick show of hands who's actually flown one before? How come? Right. Okay, that's because visitors actually teach most of our members how to fly one. So my prize today is a 2-hour session with me to not only learn how to fly, but learn how to use the cameras on them as well.
Wow.
Alright, so the photography aspect, I hope you can agree, is stunning. Now, what does that translate to? Also, the picture on the right, was a new thing I just did 2 weeks ago. It's called light painting with drone. So you strap on some lights, and then you do a spiral, put on a 30-second shutter, and that's the sort of result that you get. Okay, so next up is, can anyone tell me what that is?
Radio tower.
A what?
Radio tower.
Radio tower. It's 600 foot high. 600 foot is 45 stories high. Now, some poor bastard has to actually climb up this ladder to service these things and to inspect them. 600 foot is 45 stories high. Now, someone told me that it might be 30 degrees at the bottom, but by the time we get up there, it's 17. So they actually wear jumpers and whatnot. Okay, so using drone technology, we can negate humans having to climb these things to check the state of their assets, especially these things here. These are called insulators. So the insulators exist in mid-air, and they've never been inspected since 1945. That was when it was put up. The only way that you get there was using binoculars from the ground. So being able to get close to it, we were able to inspect it. Okay, here's a random picture of a microwave oven, no, it's a microwave antenna. So from that one picture, you can tell what the serial numbers are, the clarity. Okay, so what I'm really excited about is actually the process called 3D photogrammetry. Does anyone know what that is? Okay, it's a process of taking lots of photos so that special software can interpret that photos into a 3D object. So there's the reason why Mother Nature gave us two eyes, because with two eyes we can perceive depth. So it turns out that if you only got one eye, you can't catch a ball, or it will be pretty hard to catch a ball, because two eyes gives you that perception of depth. So a camera turns out to be one eye, it's one lens. But if you took a picture here and a picture here, and you combine it, you can tell you have a perception of depth. Yeah. So imagine not just two photos, but thousands of photos. So with those thousands of photos, we can generate a model of such, and by the way, it's within 20 mil accuracy, and I'll get to that in a moment. So here's a bridge. Does anyone recognize where the bridge is?
Yes.
Steve?
Yeah, I know, that's a Bali Bridge.
St. Albans, I think it's called. It's about 20-30 k north of Wiseman. It's a bit of a hole actually. There's no mobile reception there. But that's the first bridge that we tested for RMS. Does anyone recognize this bridge? Very good. So that's the M1. I think some of you were on it this morning. Okay. So here are the challenges. What do we know about the M1? It's pretty busy. It's never closed. Wow. Okay. So moving right along, one of the things I want to quickly show you was what we were able to do, not only generate the model, but look at the detail underneath. Damn. Okay, let's quickly move along. So those triangles, when it's playing, now those triangles in midair is the indication of where the photograph was taken from. And it's also the path of where the drone was flying to take those photographs. As you can see, it's only done on one side. All right, so RMS is quite particular with the risks associated to what we do, so therefore we are reserved to only doing on one side, and we were still able to get the detail they were after. Okay? All right, so that's actually not a picture. That's the 3D rendered model to show you the detail that we can get for the RMS. Okay. So what does it translate to? Translate to being able to have a 3D model. Now that's not a video, that's actually a 3D model like a game. So with that, you're able to simulate models. So what this will be useful for is, for instance, a property developer could scan a piece of land or a town, existing town, and have their future building put up onto it, and you could zoom through it as if you're flying through it. Okay? Right. Now I mentioned accuracy. Now, realize how it's a bit fuzzy, and I'll get to that in a moment. Now, the fuzziness is because the 3D point cloud are pixels in 3D space. So, because it's accurate, we can actually make measurements, take measurements. That's a window there, and here I am trying to get a measurement of the height of that greenhouse. Now, not only to a point, but to the apex of the top there, so that way you don't have to do it physically. Again, it's within 20 mil accuracy. All right, so remember I said how it looks a bit fuzzy because it's pixelated. So what we then do, we spend a total of 8 to 16 hours to vectorize it, so it becomes useful for an architect. So imagine doing this manually. So within 20 or 30 hours of the work, we negate having to spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours for an architect to have to do it manually. Okay, what's that? That's a really powerful PC because that's the sort of thing we need to process all this information. Can anyone tell me what that hose is?
Water cooler.
It's a water cooler. So the PC is water cooled, goes through a radiator like a car. Okay, quickly wrapping it up. Thermal in technology as well. So we've been doing a lot of work around councils to tell them about how their thermal performance is on areas. So there's a technology that allows us to put the mouse on the pointer that tells you the temperature and the GPS coordinate of the temperature also. And that translates to it being a video. That's who we work with right now. So I think I said we started BNI not having any customers, but now we have some. So we're looking for architects, civil engineers, builders, video production teams, photographers, and think infrastructure, city water, telco, maritime, wind farms, solar networks, and especially local government. So if you have contact with local government, we would like to talk to them. So I don't think I have time for that, but I was going to show you one of the productions we did recently with a commercial video production team. But that's the end of it. Thank you guys, and ready for questions again.
So are there any questions for Kelvin or